You are standing on a beach. In front of you is nothing but open ocean, all the way to the horizon. No land visible, not a speck. Your youngest child is asleep against your chest. You have no maps, no compass, no metal tools. And somehow, you and your family are about to get in a boat and cross it anyway. This isn't a hypothetical. Someone actually did this, roughly 65,000 years ago. And the archaeological evidence they left behind changes how we understand our entire species. For most of human history, the safest way to migrate was to walk, follow the coastline, follow the herds, stay within sight of land. That strategy worked for hundreds of thousands of years, as early humans spread across Africa, into the Middle East, and along the southern coast of Asia. But then, the land ran out. To reach the landmass that includes modern-day Australia and New Guinea, humans needed to cross a body of water called the Wallace Line. Even during the last ice age, when sea levels were at their lowest, this crossing required traveling at least 90 kilometers of open ocean, with no land visible at any point along the way. That's roughly the distance of a full day's walk. Except there is no ground beneath you. Only current and salt water and whatever is swimming underneath the boat. In 2017, archaeologists excavating a site called Majid Bebe in northern Australia found stone tools, ground ochre, and grinding stones in layers dating back roughly 65,000 years. The dating was so early that it forced a complete reconsideration of the timeline for human migration out of Africa. Humans were in Australia earlier than almost anyone had predicted, which means the ocean crossing that got them there happened earlier too. So how did they actually do it? The honest answer is that nobody knows for certain, because organic materials like wood and plant fiber almost never survive tens of thousands of years in the archaeological record. No boat from this crossing has ever been found, not one plank, not one fragment of rope. But researchers have approached the question from another direction entirely. They've tried to recreate it, and in doing so put their own lives at risk to test a 65,000-year-old guess. In 1998, a team led by archaeologist Robert Bednarik built a bamboo raft using only tools and materials that would have been available 65,000 years ago. No metal, no modern rope, no nails. They paddled it across a stretch of ocean near Timor. Partway through the journey, the raft began taking on water faster than expected, and the currents pulled it off course. The crew had no backup vessel. If it had failed completely, there would have been no rescue, but it held together. This didn't prove exactly what ancient humans used. It proved that a crossing was physically possible, using only Stone Age technology, and that it very nearly wasn't. But building a raft only solves part of the problem. The much stranger question is why anyone would attempt it in the first place. Unlike walking along a coastline, where you can always see how far you've traveled and turn back if needed, an open ocean crossing offers no such safety. Once you lose sight of the shore behind you, and there is nothing ahead, you have no way of knowing if you are 1 kilometer from land or 100. Some researchers have proposed that these crossings weren't planned expeditions at all, but accidents, storms, currents, or being swept out to sea while fishing near the coast, followed by groups drifting for days before reaching new land by chance, half-starved and out of fresh water. Other researchers disagree. They point to something crucial. This wasn't a single, one-time accident. The evidence suggests multiple waves of migration into this region, over a period of thousands of years. An accidental crossing might explain one group reaching a new landmass. It does not easily explain repeated, successful crossings across generations, which raises the possibility that at least some of these voyages were deliberate. That ancient humans watched birds flying toward the horizon, or saw smoke or cloud formations that suggested land beyond what they could see, and made a calculated decision to follow. There is another detail that makes this crossing even more remarkable. To successfully colonize a new landmass, it wasn't enough for one person to survive the journey. A viable founding population needed multiple individuals, likely including women, children, and enough genetic diversity to sustain a population for generations. This means we aren't talking about a single desperate swimmer. We're talking about coordinated groups, parents with children, people who had every reason to stay on solid ground and chose the ocean instead. So why does this matter beyond the archaeology itself? Because it reveals something about human psychology that predates almost everything else we associate with civilization. No other primate does this. Chimpanzees do not build rafts and paddle toward the unknown on the chance that something might be there. Tens of thousands of years before agriculture, before writing, before permanent cities, humans were already capable of a very specific kind of behavior. Looking directly at the unknown, feeling the fear that comes with it, and choosing to move toward it anyway. Every migration since. Every ship that has ever left a harbor without knowing exactly what lies beyond the horizon. Every launch into space toward a destination humans have never physically seen, traces back to the same underlying instinct. Somewhere on a beach 65,000 years ago, a parent held a sleeping child against their chest, looked at open ocean with no land in sight, and decided that whatever was out there was worth the risk of never finding out otherwise.